eminent personalities who have given shed light on the lifetimes and philosophy of Srinarayana Guru. Plus, we have also had very, very interesting discussions to accompany these presentations as well. That makes the whole process very interesting, and it also makes it very educative. So I'm sure today will be no different. Today will be a natural progression from all the previous sessions, and we'll be having a large and diverse group who will be deliberating very effectively on the issue that we are going to discuss today. We are indeed very fortunate that we have Mr. Bijoy Obi, who will be talking to us on the dialectical structuralism of Nataraja Guru, its relevance to philosophical inquiry. As we all know, Guru's ideas, thoughts, and percepts have been elucidated by a number of luminaries over the years, and one such luminary is definitely Nataraja Guru. And it is always very interesting to listen to the thoughts of Sri Nataraja Guru and his exposition of the ideas propounded by Sri Narayana Guru. So I am also very eagerly looking forward to this session, and this session is indeed very aptly titled as the Dialectical Structuralism of Nataraja Guru. So that is something that I'm sure all of us will be very interested in understanding and expanding our horizons on. So it is my proud privilege to welcome Sri Bijoy Obi to this session. Sir, you are most welcome to the session, and we look forward to your very, very valuable thoughts on this very important topic. We are also thankful to all the participants who have been joining again and again, week after week, and enriching the proceedings. And we thank each and every one of you who has joined from different walks of life and different stations in life to this session as in the previous sessions. And we welcome you all on behalf of IGNOU Real Center, Trivandrum, as well as IGNOU Real Center ISOL. And I'm also very happy to have with my co-host, Dr. V.T. Jaljakumari, Regional Director, IGNOU Real Center ISOL, who is doing all the spade work, frankly speaking, to actually make this program a deep success. So I'm also happy to welcome all those participants who are joining this session on our YouTube Live also. So as always, we have a good number of participants on YouTube Live as well. So we'll welcome them to this program as well. So without much ado, let me now request our colleague, Dr. V.T. Jaljakumari, Regional Director, IGNOU Regional Center ISOL, to do the honors by, in fact, telling us more about the expert today, Sri Bijoy Obi. Over to you, ma'am.
Thanks, sir. Today is the 15th day of our webinar series. So we have covered 15 days, and today is the 15th day. And today, in our webinar series, Sri Narayana Guru's vision on Sanatana Dharma, a message of unity, equality, and spiritual awakening. We have a vibrant thinker and intellect, Sri Brahmachari Bijoy Obi, and he is presenting on the topic Dialectical Structuralism of Nataraja Guru, its relevance to philosophical inquiry. We know that every day, on every discussions, we were connecting the three gurus, Narayana Guru, Nataraja Guru, and Nitya Chaitanya Guru. So, in the contemporary philosophical thoughts, we cannot avoid this integration of these three luminaries. So, it is also, today's presentation is also very much important regarding the dialectical structuralism of Nataraja. Introducing about Sri Brahmachari Bijoy. He is having a long association with Gurukula from since 2009 onwards. He became a full-time member in the Narayana Gurukula, and till today he is continuing his journey with the philosophical journey with Narayana Gurukula. And from 2014 to 2022, he served as the principal aide to Guru Muni Narayana Prasad, the present head of the Gurukula. During this period, he played a key role as the main associate in the decade-long Malayalam translation of Nataraja Guru's monumental work as Integrated Science of the Absolute, undertaken by Guru Muni Narayana Prasad. He also served on the editorial board for the 2020 edition of the original English text, regarded as the most authentic version of an integrated science of this of an absolutist, because of its meticulous fact-checking against Nataraja Guru's original typewritten manuscript as well as all other printed editions. Currently, while continuing as a full-time member of the Narayana Gurukula, Brahmachari Vijay is engaged in exclusive studies on Nataraja Guru's innovative methodology, Dialectical Structuralism. In parallel, he is the founder and chief editor of natarajaguru.org, a comprehensive website. It is dedicated to the works and the teachings of Nataraja Guru, now in its final stage of development. And this website, this natarajaguru.org website, is the first step in a 5-year project that seeks to create structured data of large language models, machine learning, and neural networks, with the objective of providing tailored, intelligent responses to questions on Narayana Guru's philosophy as interpreted by Nataraja Guru. So actually, in our conceptual note, we were giving emphasis of integration of information technology development and value system. Such an area was there. So actually, we are expecting that. Sri Vijay is an apt person for integrating IT, information technology, with this philosophical studies, especially spiritual studies. So many areas are there. Social media and spirituality is there. This application of dharma in information technology, like that, a lot of issues are there. So his efforts and his introduction using this network educational system of Nataraja Guru will definitely enable this part of our spiritual education and for the contemporary spiritual education and the development of our nation. That's what our expectation. So with we are eagerly waiting for your presentation, Sri Vijay, and we are welcoming you, on behalf of the participants, and for RCI Iswal and RC Trivandrum, we are welcoming you with great pleasure for getting into the thoughts of you, especially on Nataraja Guru. So this platform is over to you, Sri Vijay, please.
Is my screen visible to you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So, namaste everyone. First and foremost, I would like to express my deepest gratitude and sincere congratulations to IGNOU Regional Center, Thiruvananthapuram, and ISWAL for organizing this beautiful webinar series on the teachings of Narayana Guru. I also extend my warm appreciation to Dr. Rajesh and Dr. Jalaja Kumari for their dedication, planning, and intuitive guidance in making these sessions not only professional but deeply meaningful. Usually, we inmates of Gurukulas rarely find opportunities to to participate in academic webinars, which are often reserved for those with formal institutional credentials. But IGNOU RC has taken a very inclusive stand, recognizing that wisdom is not the monopoly of credentials, but of competence too. It is with great humility and pride that I join this gathering today, representing an institution founded by a remarkable individual who embodied both academic excellence in philosophy and deep competence in the mystical tradition, that is Nataraja Guru, one who walked between the library and the meditation hall, between logic and love, between the university and the hermitage. Thank you once again for this honor. Now let us come to the essence of this topic. Having attended many sessions in this series here and elsewhere, we have observed that while audiences are deeply moved by Narayana Guru's conclusions, such as his vision of non-dual oneness, religious unity, and social equality, almost no one addresses his actual method. When attempts are made, they rely on outdated commentarial styles, forcing his guru's insights into inherited scholastic frameworks rather than revealing his unique epistemology. The truth is, Narayana Guru remains prominent today not primarily for his philosophy, but for his transformative social action. It is the fragrance of his karma that is still alive, not the light of his thought that sustains his legacy, but his fragrance. But that fragrance is actually fading. A new generation trained in logic, science, and structural reasoning will soon demand, why follow Guru over Hegel, Kant, Eddington, or Marx? So without a rigorous scientific response grounded in Nataraja Guru's dialectical structuralism, Narayana Guru's philosophy risks collapse into mere devotional sentiment or religion, which are sweet and wondrous, but stripped of its structural, scientific, and dialectical power. So before I could start the topic, let me start with a disclaimer. This is a vast topic, and I cannot guarantee that I will be able to fully shed light on the teachings of Nataraja Guru. It is only an attempt, a humble trial that we are making together with such eminent scholars. The title of this paper is Dialectical Structuralism. Since all of you here are scholars, I assume no confusion over the terms coined. Conventionally, structuralism refers to the linguistic movement begun by Ferdinand de Saussure, later developed by Levi Strauss and Lacan across 20th century Europe. Dialectics, of course, is an ancient method traced to Zeno and Parmenides of the pre-Socratics and central to Hegel and Marx in the recent days. But here is the crucial distinction. Structuralism as understood by Nataraja Guru, I just move the slide. Structuralism as understood by the Nataraja Guru is something entirely new. It is not European structuralism extended. When fused with the dialectical method, it makes on a new character, wider in scope, different in style, and almost opposite in interpretation. Saussure's structuralism was brilliant, but it was incomplete. It revealed hidden patterns in myth, kinship, or the unconscious, but stopped at language, psyche, or culture as the final ground of knowledge. Guru's structuralism goes further. It is shaped by four great rivers of wisdom: theology, Western philosophy, modern science, and Vedanta. It is not merely linguistic, it is epistemological, metaphysical, and scientific. In truth, it is a living vision of the absolute, not a theory about reality, but a structural way of participating in reality. Now we must ask, why does Guru propose such a structural method when so many other methods are already available to express human wisdom? To answer that, we must look deeper into the subtle problems he identifies, what we may call the crisis of fragmented truth. The crisis is that knowledge, spirituality, and human understanding are divided into opposing domains: rituals versus wisdom, belief versus skepticism, science versus metaphysics, East versus West, etc. Guru shows us that such fragmentation does not come from reality itself, because reality is always one and undivided. The division comes from the way we use language, from the limits of perception, and from errors in method. Drawing from the Upanishadic insights, Nataraja Guru claims that reality is structured around two interpenetrating domains, Nama and Rupa. Nama represents all that is conceptual, and Rupa represents the perceptual. The Upanishadic seers noticed this semantic polyvalence and its dangers and found alternative methods to express their wisdom. They used a primordial, schematic, image based mode of expression to explain reality. This is called the Vak in the Upanishads, Logos in Greek literature, and the Word in the Bible. In essence, Nama and Rupa, or the conceptual and the visible, are not two separate realms, but two poles of a single semantic matrix, the ultimate reality itself. Guru calls this cryptic semantic matrix proto-language. Examples of such proto-expression include Tattvamasi, the two birds on a tree, one eating and the other watching, the inverted tree of the Bhagavad Gita, and so on. Guru also distinguishes proto-language from meta-language. Meta-language is the analytical discursive commentary that attempts to explain these schematic pictorial structures. When reality is explained in meta-language, it immediately gets divided into percepts and concepts. Gradually, one side gains dominance at the expense of the other, because meta-language by itself does not have the power to explain reality as it is. Guru does not treat proto-language as a remain of the past. He reaffirms and revalues it as a universal cognitive tool. Guru demonstrates that what the proto-language found in the Upanishads and ancient literature is not unique to that domain alone. He says that this cryptic language has deep parallels in modern science and Western philosophy, especially in the works of Eddington, Bergson, Kant, and even quantum physicists. Guru claims that modern science too has its cryptic words that are not mere labels but schematic, polyvalent structural diagrams of reality. In the same sense, the symbols of the Upanishads are not mystical but mathematical, operational, and epistemological. Also, the universal images like the two birds on a tree, an inverted tree, a golden person in the heart, or waves on the ocean are not used to tell stories, but to encode structural relationships within consciousness and the cosmos. Nataraja Guru's real innovation is not an alternative to proto-language, but a unified structural language that integrates proto-language and meta-language into a single epistemological framework grounded in the normative absolute. He proposes a schematic proto-meta-linguistic system based on orthogonal axis, quaternion structures, and semantic polyvalence. I'm not going into the details of these terms because this needs to be explained in like hours of classes. So we are only taking the applications of these terminologies or methodologies in the coming passages. Let us now turn to a foundational insight that anchors Nataraja Guru's entire method, the axiomatic origin of truth. Before we apply any method into practice, we must ask, where does the search begin? Every serious inquiry, scientific, philosophical, or spiritual, requires an axiomatic origin. Geometry assumes a point has no dimension. Physics assumes laws are universal. These are not proven, they are working hypotheses that make reasoning possible. The tragedy of human thought is that different traditions begin with partial axioms, materialists with matter, idealists with mind, theologians with God. Because their starting points are limited, their conclusions clash. Not because reality is divided, but because their frames are limited. Nataraja Guru proposes a different starting point. Begin with absolute, not as dogma, but as a methodological necessity. If reality is one, truth must be one. As the Upanishads declare, from the absolute, all this arises. Into the absolute, all this dissolves. In the absolute, all this lives and moves. This is not blind faith, it is a hypothesis to be lived, tested, and realized, the only foundation for a truly unified science of wisdom. With the absolute as our normative reference, we now enter the fourfold methodology through which Guru transforms experience into realization. They are schematism, structuralism, selectionism, and subjectivism. Schematism is the first step in deep philosophical thinking, not a technical term, but a natural act of the mind. It means seeing any experience as having two complementary sides, not just one solid reality. Take pain, for example. Normally, we react as if it's a single overwhelming fact, but schematism invites us to pause and split it clearly. One side of the pain is physical, measurable, located in the body, nerve signals, inflammation, actually the biology of pain. The other is vertical, subjective, emotional, not in space, the loneliness, fear, or existential weight that comes from suffering. Next comes the structuralism. Now we have schematized our experience, that is, clearly distinguished the two limbs of any phenomenon, such as pain, into its physical and mental aspects. We are ready for the next essential move in Nataraja Guru's method, that is structuralism. Structuralism is the second step in this method, and it's about building a living, dynamic map of how the two sides of any experience relate. Structuralism reveals that each limb isn't simple. It has its own inner structure. So we see four interconnected aspects: physical causes, psychological qualities, conceptual painness, and different names for the same pain. This is what Nataraja Guru calls a relation-relator complex, meaning nothing exists alone. Each part only makes sense through its relations to the others. The body affects the mind shapes the body. So structuralism weaves the two limbs into a living whole, held together by a relation and relator, preparing us for true realization. Such a structural representation in consciousness is called the normalized vision of the absolute. This is essentially theoretical certitude in relation to practical reality. After schematism and structuralism, where we carefully map pain into its physical and mental sides and all their connections, we reach a turning point. So far, we have worked horizontally, like drawing a detailed map of conscious awareness, but now philosophy becomes living wisdom through selectionism. Selectionism means choosing the essential. Instead of getting lost in endless details, past traumas, nerve pathways, emotional patterns, we select the core point where real change can happen. It's not mere analysis, it's wise discrimination. That's why it's called selectionism, because we actively select one pivotal aspect to focus on, not out of denial, but to cut through complexity and find clarity. This is a reversal in the method. We stop expanding outward and begin turning inward. And right after selectionism comes subjectivism, where we dive even deeper into the I that suffers, moving toward direct realization. Subjectivism is the final step, and it's not ordinary me focused thinking, it's subjectivity with a capital S, the direct realization that we are not separate from the pain. Instead of saying, I have pain, we see this pain is me and I'm the absolute, the unshaken awareness behind all experience. It's called subjectivism because it turns fully inward, not to the ego, but to the deepest I, the non dual self. What's the benefit? Pain loses its power to disturb us. It becomes a wave in the ocean of our awareness, but not overwhelming. Now we have seen schematism, structuralism, selectionism, and subjectivism, and so how we can move from tangible reality to theory, and then from theory to lived experience. But we still need to understand the dialectical play between the counterparts in structural journey. For example, we have only seen how pain is first split into two limbs, then unfolded into relational structures, and finally reduced to a subjective experience. What we haven't yet explored is how physical pain is normalized and theorized, or how theorized absolute is actually applied in real time. To grasp these deeper dynamics, we need to examine additional processes. We will explore them one by one, and to make it vivid, we will use the example of a couple in love. Through this, we can clearly visualize the interplay between the two poles in every dialectical situation. First is ambivalence. These key relational modes in the process are, we saw ambivalence, parity, reciprocity, complementarity, compensation, and cancellation. Ambivalence is recognizing the dual poles in a situation. Ambivalence means clearly seeing that opposites exist. For example, in a couple, the man might be good at making decisions, but not show his feelings easily. The woman might understand emotions deeply, but find it hard to act quickly. This isn't about right or wrong, it's just how people are. Ambivalence is the first honest step, the acknowledgement that duality exists both within and between. Next is parity. It's structural equality, the recognition that both poles are equally real, equally valid, equally necessary. For example, the man's rationality is not superior to the woman's intuition. The woman's emotional depth is not weaker than the man's pragmatism. This is the foundation of all true dialogue. Third is reciprocity. It's a kind of dynamic exchange. Once parity is established, reciprocity begins. Reciprocity is the practical give and take interaction. The man handles finances, the woman nurtures emotional connection. He grounds her dreams, she softens her edges. His strength becomes my support, her vulnerability becomes his tenderness. This is how man and woman interacts. This is how the counterparts interact in a contemplative situation too. They are not exchanging goods, they are co-creating shared reality. Next is complementarity. Some mutual enrichment. We move to complementarity where opposites don't just balance each other, they help each other grow. The man's clear thinking doesn't just correct the woman's doubt, it gives her courage to move forward. The woman's caring nature doesn't just calm the man's stiffness, it opens his heart. Complementarity is a stage where duality becomes creative, where opposites generate new possibilities, new dimensions of being. Next comes compensation. Compensation, the shift from horizontal to vertical giving. Up to now, the relationship has been mostly horizontal, focused on exchange, balance, and mutual support. But now, at compensation, the whole process turns vertical. The sense of separation between me and you begins to soften. They give each other because they are united by a shared purpose, a common ideal they both live by. This could be love, family, their life together, or a deeper truth they both honor. Their giving flows not from need of expectation, but from alignment with that higher norm, their shared absolute. But it's important to remember if the process doesn't turn vertical, then compensation becomes selfish and accountable. It turns into, if it does not turn into a vertical dimension, the interactions will be different. I will support you if you obey me. I will love you if you meet my needs. I will serve truth if it brings me praise. This kind of giving is conditional, physical, and keeps account of. This is wrong compensation. Cancellation, non-dual union. This is the final step in the dialectical interplay, where all duality falls away. The man no longer thinks I am giving to her. The woman no longer feels I am receiving from him. The sense of separation dissolves, not because they become the same person, but because they both rest in the same truth, the absolute. Here, Tatvamasi, you are that, is no longer just a saying, it becomes a living experience. But remember, if the earlier stage of compensation stayed horizontal, then the proper cancellation cannot happen. Without true alignment, the relationship breaks apart. In everyday terms, it ends in divorce, not just legally, but in spirit. Proper cancellation is not the end of two people, but the end of separation between them. The self and the world are not two. Now comes the normalization and renormalization. When cancellation happens, the split between subject and object, knower and known, dissolves into the unified ground of the absolute. But this is not a one-time achievement, because the path to the absolute is not a ladder with a final step. It's a living, dynamic process, an ever-turning circulation of awareness. This circulation has two movements. One is normalization, rising from lived experience to the vertical axis of the absolute, and then renormalization, descending from the absolute with insight to transform everyday life. This rhythm, ascend, descend, refine, renew, is the breadth of wisdom, actually, normalization and renormalization. And what is the absolute? What is the content of the absolute? The absolute reveals itself in three inseparable dimensions: Sat, Chit, and Ananta. Sat is the easiness underlying all, rocks, stars, bodies, without which nothing appears. Chit is the light of pure awareness that knows existence. Without it, reality remains dark and unrealized. Ananda is not mere pleasure, but the deep bliss of meaning, love, and harmony, the why that gives direction to being. Some seekers begins their inquiry with Sat, with the world of facts and norms and rise forward value. Others begins with Ananta, with love or ethics and seek their grounding in reality. A few begin with Chit, questioning the nature of knowing self itself. But the complete path holds all three together: existence as the ground, awareness as the light, value as the goal. This is not a withdrawal from life, it is the most engaged way of living, a constant conscious participation in the living structure of reality. And that is the living science of the absolute. In fact, I've not gone deeply into the aspects of each term used here, but only touched upon them in a very running fashion. I wish that the study of this special methodology continues so that its full implications may be revealed. And here is a word of self-defense by Nataraja Guru himself. We are conscious that there will still be many staunch or orthodox followers of Narayana Guru who might question the present commentator and think that he has strayed from the strict position of Advaita that Narayana Guru stood for. So that is the paper all about. Thank you for everyone listening to it.
Thank you, Mr. Bijoy. It was indeed a very enlightening presentation. Of course, I'm a novice in this field. Yet I feel that there were many things which are very profound, which were brought out. And the kind of interworking of the components and the thought processes have been brought out very well in your presentation. In fact, I feel when we look at it in a broader fashion, this is an integral contribution. Nataraja Guru's ideas are an integral contribution to the Indian knowledge system itself. The way it has evolved, and it is a further exposition of what Sri Narayana Guru himself has propounding over the years through his actions and through his writings. Now, indeed, it is an apt point where we can invite further discussion on this. A very interesting presentation that Mr. Bijoy has actually made on this day. First and foremost, let me congratulate Mr. Bijoy for this excellent presentation. It is a job very well done, and I'm sure there will be a lot of points on which discussion will be invited on the basis of your discussion. So I now leave the floor open for our discussants to actually present their views and also to supplement and augment the thoughts which have been already laid out by Mr. Bijoy in his presentation. Over to all of you. You can unmute and definitely start asking questions and also make your points. I invite all of you for the discussion. Sabu sir, can I start with you?
Okay, sir, I can start if nobody else is willing. Only then.
Yes, sir.
If somebody else wants to talk, they can talk.
Sir.
Okay, I'll start. Actually,
Yes.
unlike the other topics, I have not much to add because Bijoy is not an expert, I can say even the expert of this particular topic, dialectical aspects of Nataraja Guru. So he covered the different aspects. So when I saw the topic, one thing that came to my mind, can you read this?
I think you can place it a bit to the right, sir. So that, okay. Yeah, now it's.
The Guru's Cross. The Guru's Cross. So this is an article written by Charles Erickson. Charles Erickson was a direct disciple of Nataraja Guru. He's very old, he is still alive. Last year I met him. So the Guru's Cross, that is structuralism. So that means this structuralism was so interwoven with the personality of Nataraja Guru. So whenever somebody talk about Nataraja Guru, who were familiar with him, structuralism comes to mind. Even I heard that many of the local Swamis mocked him. That vertical horizontal is going. That vertical horizontal is going like that because he always spoke about the vertical and horizontal dimensions. That is like that. So that is an original contribution of Nataraja Guru, fusing the ancient structuralism given in Mandukya Upanishad with Descartes' modern Cartesian coordinates. So all this we can see in Nataraja Guru's structuralism. And the need of such a structuralism, Joyce mentioned it in the very beginning. We are living in the world of fragmented truths. We are not seeing the holistic vision of life. That's the problem. We see certain particular sections only. This is a picture of cucumber. If we cut cucumber as a cross section, we can see the seeds almost radiating from the center. If we take a longitudinal section, that will be symmetrically arranged. Suppose a person who has not seen the cucumber as it is, and he sees only the vertical section, he will say that in cucumber the seeds are arranged in a symmetric way. Another person, again, he has not seen the whole cucumber, he has seen only the cross section. He will say, no, it is not like that. The seeds are radiating from the center. So these are all partial views. We see the different sections of the same cucumber without seeing the whole cucumber. So only when we see the vertical and longitudinal section as part of the whole cucumber, we will realize that all these sections are integral part of the whole cucumber. Similarly, there is a case with life also. We all have different sections. We say that fragmented truth is the right one. So that is the reason for most of the quarrels starting from the man-woman relation in our home to international problems. So the Rajguru had a vision of applying this structuralism in almost all enterprises of human life. How we can cultivate a holistic view and solve human problems. Even his life was dedicated, in my perspective, for integrating East and West and science and philosophy. He himself said somewhere, I remember like that, the Indian sannyasins did not recognize me because I was having Western education. That's a daily degree from France. So the Indian sannyasis thought that he was alien to their particular creed. And for the Westerners, they considered him as an Indian sannyasi. So the Western intellectuals, they were very reluctant to accept Guru's consideration at that time, thoughts at that time. But now the things are changed. A lot of bridging is between East and West. So now it is our time, I think, to present Nataraja Guru's teaching. The new generation, as Vijay said, otherwise people will ask, what is the relevance of Nataraja Guru if you stick entirely on the social transformations of Kerala? So that's what Vijay is very beautifully presented. And one time I want to add is, he spoke about normalization and renormalization. Guru Nitya gave an explanation in Malayalam for normalization and renormalization. Normalization is Dharanayil Varatadine Dharanayil Kundurya. Something that was not in our concept, we bring it to that concept. For the vertical dimension, normally that is in our concept. So we bring it to the individual concept. Then Asadharamayadine Sadharanamaki Matya. That is renormalization. So the relationship can be smoothened with that particular normalization. That's a Malayalam definition of structuralism by not structuralism, normalization and renormalization by Guru Nitya. And what Vinod said towards the end, the blueprint. This is only the blueprint. So we can develop it. Guru himself wrote in one of his books that I'm leaving the development of theory to some future students. So this is the need of the hour. We need that. At the application side, how it can be applied in economics, politics, education. Again, the blueprints of all these are given by Nataraja Guru. Also, I remember how to use structuralism and how not to use structuralism given by Nataraja Guru. Suppose a thorn is stuck in our feet. We use another thorn to remove that thorn. After removing it, don't keep the tool thrown with us. Throw it away. Throw both the thorns away. So this is only a tool. Once we apply that tool to solve a certain problem, the tools become irrelevant. So that again, Nataraja Guru has given the relevance of structuralism. So these are some of the thoughts that came to my mind. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for your very interesting views. Definitely, this will also spark further discussion, I'm sure, among other participants as well. I also request others to put in their views.
Can I speak, sir?
Please come in.
Okay. Because it was a wonderful presentation. Congratulations to you. My question is very simple. Nataraja Guru actually says he has introduced Narayana Guru to the Western audience, and his audience were erudite scholars well versed in Western philosophy. And when we read his integrated science of the absolute, he also talks about engages with phenomenology, not just structuralism. So I sometimes felt that he is using an eclectic method. Eclectic method means using different theories to make sense of the truth. So would you agree with me?
Yeah,
Yeah, that is my question.
yeah, Dr. Sarina, you always have a different view. I appreciate that. Actually, phenomenology is, if your norm is phenomenology, and if you look at the integrated science of the absolute, you will definitely see phenomenology getting its limits extended to the realm of the absolute. Sure, but that's only one way of looking at it. So when it comes to structural integration, you have to see it from all the dimensions. So when we study integrated science of the absolute at Gurukula, phenomenology is definitely one solid step through which we can enter into the realm of the integrated science of the absolute or the science of the absolute. But that's not all. We can get into a train, fast moving train, whichever compartment we want. But you can still sit in a single compartment and until you reach the journey. Also, you can walk through all the compartments, even if the train moves fast. That's up to you whether you want to walk or you want to just sit and relax and watch the side views of the single compartment.
Okay, another suggestion is if you are turning it into a book, I would like you to look at some post-structuralist criticism of structuralism itself. After Nataraja Guru, there have been major developments within structuralism, and post-structuralists like Foucault, Agamben. The other day, Uday Kumar has presented on Agamben's notion of the sacred and the profane. So if you could include that also, post-structuralist understanding, that will be a very welcoming way to understand Nataraja Guru in contemporary times. Because when we teach structuralism in universities, when we make our syllabus, we make sure that the students learn criticism of structuralism also, and how the changes has happened from looking at objective truth to subjective truth. The truth is now subjective, not objective. So we are coming back to the position of truth as multiple, the multiple interpretation of truth, and subjectivity, if it becomes objective, becomes a fascist understanding of truth. So this is my suggestion, not a question.
Yeah, thank you for that suggestion. We will definitely look into Vishay Foucault and others who are post-structuralists. But you know, that is not consciousness based. The thing is, they talk about structures in a very beautiful way. But the thing is, it's completely objective. They don't say who is witnessing these structures. If they see structures as the fundamental of any inquiry, then who is the witness of these structures? So we are going a little bit deeper into the observer of the structures and what is being observed, that is structures itself. So observed structures and observer structures, and we are integrating everything into the realm of a structure that includes both the structures of the post-structuralists as well as the structures of the philosophers. I mean, the Vedantins and all these mystical philosophers. So we are, already looking into that, and we don't find anything in that.
Okay, thank you.
So let me, Joyce, I think the frame of reference of structuralism mentioned by Dr. Sharina and the frame of reference of structuralism developed by Nataraja Guru are different. Am I right?
Yeah, I'd explained it in the beginning itself.
Yes, you said it in the beginning itself. That's why I asked.
Because sir, whenever people read Nataraja Guru's books, Integrated Science and other books, they search for the word structuralism on the Google and now in ChatGPT and other LLMs. They find a different structuralism and they try to understand Nataraja Guru with this kind of structuralism. But they will never understand the structuralism of Nataraja.
Yes. That's my point.
Yeah, that is the reason I started up with Levi Strauss and Jacques Lacan and Saussure and everything. That is the reason I wanted to clarify that point, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. Sugita ma'am, would you like to join?
Thank you, sir. First of all, let me congratulate Joyce for presenting this paper. My conclusion is that Nataraja Guru used method as a ladder. Nataraja method of dialectical structuralism as a rigorous analytical tool. But the method itself is not. It functions like a ladder that is eventually left behind on higher vision is reached. And another point is his philosophy consistently points towards Advaitic or non-dual realization, the recognition of unity in the diversity of structures. The method of dialectical progression is valuable to clear contradictions and organize thought. But the culmination is a unitive insight that transcends the very dialectic. And structuralism helped to analyze his philosophy, helped him to analyze philosophy, science, and culture within a systematic framework, as Bijoy has mentioned, in a schematic framework. Yet his ultimate philosophical outlook was not structuralist, but unitive, an integrated vision of reality where opposites are reconciled in a higher synthesis. So my personal point for discussion is While dialectical structuralism is a valuable methodological contribution, Nataraja Guru's true philosophical legacy lies in his emphasis on unity understanding. Achieving liberates us from dependence of any single method. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Bijoy, would you like to respond to that comment?
Yeah, definitely. I mentioned this problem in the beginning itself. People are insisting on the conclusions. So Dr. Sugita is insisting on the conclusions. I am insisting on the method. That's the difference, And I also concluded that, this is an absolute living, Finally, what? Life matters. Happiness matters, not the method. So method helps. And the reality we live. So that's all.
Thank you, sir. And I request others also to join in. Others can also put in their comments and observations. Srikumar sir, would you like to join and put your observations? Uday Kumar ji.
No, sir, I am listening.
Okay. So anyone who wishes to put in any comment or ask any question, everyone is welcome to do so.
I think sir is speaking, but he is muted.
Acha, Shaji sir. Okay. Shaji sir, kindly unmute and if you could put your views.
No, still it is muted, sir.
I think still it is muted. Yeah. Now
Yes.
you're audible, sir. Please.
No, I am Dr. Shaji Prabhakaran, one of the retired principals of Medical College Trivandrum.
Thanks.
I have the fortune to treat both Nataraja Guru and Nitya Chaitanya and Muni Narayana Prasad. That is my professional part. That has nothing to do with this talk. What I could understand from, I am a 100% materialist. I don't believe in God. The whatever that is God is to me is the knowledge. That knowledge you can understand by learning. That is why my Apapa has told me that Agni velichamana, velicham arivana, arivana ninda bodham ennu parayum. Aksharam Agniyana. So I would like to know, I have gone several times through Darshanamala. And to find science in Darshanamala is supposed to be very easy. But to understand your mental setup through that is not possible for me because my knowledge of Vedanta is zero. Because I practice medicine, that is why. So I would like to know the so-called conscious absolute means. Is it nothing but another form of science divided into 10 components and given in a language which is undigestible for me, or my gastrointestinal system is not absorbing that, and I have the least brain potential, like 16, 21 people sitting here. And you please advise me how you can have a state in the coming future without a religion on a scientific basis and as a spiritual basis, of which I prefer to mention something from you, hear from you, something about Darshana Mala. Hope I am fine.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Hope you have understood.
Yeah, I understood. You are asking me, right?
Yeah.
Okay. The thing is, you are speaking science basically, and you are speaking wisdom. So it's not different from Darshanamala in one sense. And Darshanamala, if we take Darshanamala as a complete science, we can start our inquiry from different standpoints. Since you are a doctor, you can start your inquiry from health as a norm. So health as a norm, and then you can start step by step transcending into the experience of health through Darshanamala. So everybody has a chance in Darshanamala, because the first chapter is talking about cosmology. So instead of cosmology, you can imagine a body, a full body, and then examine about it, the way you have learned it, and then go into the deeper aspects one by one and get into the real nature of what body is. That's how you can get into Darshanamala, through the norm of health. And anybody, if it is music, and you can start with music. So, and I cannot explain the entire what is that Darshanamala in this context here, but I can give you the method in which probably you can approach Darshanamala and then study it. Then you will definitely get to enter into Darshanamala in a way you desire, because Guru's works are like magical boxes. You, once you enter it into it, it's yours. It's not that Guru is making you enter into Pandora's box. It's not like that. The box is yours. You know everything about it. That's how Guru has managed to prepare Darshanamala. You see lots of similarities everywhere. You have structural one correspondence between each chapters, each verses, and it's like a magical work. So it's very easy, since you are willing to learn it. That's the first step. If you are willing, the willingness matters. If you are willing to do anything, anything will happen. So I wish you all the best.
Thank you very much. One thing is that I am on a workshop to write on religion yesterday, today, and tomorrow. The first two parts have been finished. The second part is, third part is the future of religion, of which I am borrowing your knowledge through Darshanamala, because the basis of that chapter is based on Darshanamala, which to my unintelligent brain cannot digest. That's why I seek your opinion. Hope you will answer.
Yeah, the thing is, religion of tomorrow, today, and there is no religion of future or the past. The religion is only one according to Narayana Guru. So we are all devotees or followers of the teachings of Narayana Guru. So you have to believe in just one religion. That is happiness. Akilarum Atmasugathina Prayatnam Sagalavum ing Sadabi Jaitirunnu Jagadil Immadam Egam. That is, Egam means, that which is against timeless. It is timeless. Timeless means which does not exist in future, present, or the past. It is just is. So it's only one.
Okay, thank you very much. I shall be in touch with you later, because I am otherwise busy now. Mr. Vishwanathan has introduced me to this gallery, where I find that it is a brilliant minded people. And I think, is a misfit person in this group. Hope you will excuse me if I am wrong.
Sir, there is nothing wrong or right in this forum because we are all learning. And sir, from your very expertise, it's clear that you are a very brilliant mind, and you are the and your expertise will always be required in future sessions as well. So we look forward to your comments and, if possible, a session from you as well, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
And all the best for your work, sir. Maybe based
Yes.
on your work, you can give us a presentation.
No, I have been doing it for the last 6-7 months, but I have reached nowhere. Every day I am rewriting.
That's a sign of a great writer, sir.
So that is my IQ is very poor.
While we do not agree with your statement on that, but definitely we look forward to your work, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Doctor,
Rajesh sir. Oh,
Sir, please, Udaymar, sir.
Rajesh sir, can I?
Yeah, please come in. Please come in.
No, this is not a direct response to the presentation because incidentally, Dr. Shaji Prabhakaran sir has been talking something about it. I'm not aware that whether he is aware of this book written by Nitya Niyadi. I, in fact, have it at hand at the moment so that I can show. It would be of great Arogya Shastra and Darshanika Vishanatil. So being a medical professional, he would be able to make better sense of it than all of us. So if you have already seen it, it's all right, but it would be good if you pick up a copy.
Okay, sure.
Thank you, sir.
That I will get it from Gurukulam.
All right, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I too want to show a book. Sir, have you referred this book, A History of Religious Ideas, for writing your book on religion?
Will you just keep it to your left? And I can see it.
A History of Religious Ideas.
No.
No, if you don't refer that book, it will be incomplete. The
Okay.
entire History of Religious Ideas. Please refer that book also, sir.
Okay, sure. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. So after that very interesting discussion by Dr. Shaji Prabhakaran, do we have any other comments or thoughts on the presentation today? Okay, I think we have been having a very interesting round of discussions, and most of our participants have made their views very clear on the topic of discussion today and also related areas. So this is what makes this webinar so interesting and so enriching, that we are getting so many views, so many ideas from diverse points of views, and not only that, even related areas get covered during the discussion part. So thank you all of you for that very interesting round of discussions. And now it's my duty to request Dr. V.T. Jaljakumari, Regional Director, Ignorance Center, ISOL, to sum up the day's proceedings and also to propose a formal vote of thanks. Over to you, ma'am.
Okay, sir. Actually, still I am in a heaviness. Mentally, in my inside me, a heaviness is feeling because that much in-depth was Sri Bijoy's presentation. Because when we were studying linguistics and many other disciplines, we were seeing structuralism just for defining or understanding the kinship in anthropology or in behavioral relationships, and for making simplicity of behavioral relationships in psychology, like that. And in literature, it was to understand the meaning of the presentations, like that. Very simply we were understanding this one. But today, the brief description and the presentation was giving a very deep understanding regarding. But when we get deep understanding, immediately we are becoming nothing, because that I was experiencing really. So if that much sophisticated it was. It is what I have to say. Very beautifully he presented the dialectical structuralism of Nataraja Guru. So at present, he was presenting the introductory part with the pedagogy of conversations or pedagogy of the process of understanding, I think. That is what simply we can say methodology. This dialectics, how this meta language becomes a proto language, when it becomes schemas, and into the other steps of structuralism like tangible qualities, etc. And finally, how it comes to selectionism and how it becomes subjectivism. And finally, the dialectical stages. Dialectical stages, beautifully he was giving examples regarding the ambivalence, parity, reciprocity, etc. When he was speaking about this reciprocity, I was thinking about Parivartanamukha Vidyabhyasa, because reciprocity is everywhere, not only in education, but everything is in education. All these relationships we need in the process of education. Guru was Nitya, he was specifically writing this reciprocity in his Parivartanamukha Vidyabhyasa, that is Pradiyavigata. So from there, from the reciprocity of the teacher and the student, it was going through parents, Mata Vidakal, Guru Shishya, like that, all the relationships, there is reciprocity. I was thinking about when you were presenting this one, and the beauty of complementarity and compensation, finally cancellation. I don't know how to express my happiness by hearing all these things, because the human relation, you are giving the example of men and women relationship. So nowadays, we don't have this complementarity and compensation, cancellation is not at all there in contemporary life situations. So this is very much important when structuralism gives meaning to concepts and for perceptions in a way, and how dialecticism complement to this structuralism, and how mutually both or dialectical structuralism give meaning to life. That's what I was feeling from this presentation, because if we are following this phenomenology or this methodology or this pedagogics in life, definitely cancellation will be there for all. But it is impossible for the common people. That's what's happening, I think. So the mutuality of life, the relations and everything becomes a beautiful in the absolute form when it finalizes, when it reaches cancellation stage. So this is the normal application of methodology of life among the common people. I feel so. So thank you, Vijoyas, for your wonderful presentation with the depth of philosophy, and I think it was really a pedagogy of life. That's what I'm thinking. And thank you very much for the other contributions by Sadhu Sir, Dr. Sherina, Dr. Sugita, Dr. Shaji Prabhakaran, and the references given by Sri Uday Kumar and Sadhu Sir. I think this is what a beautiful platform was here by what Narayana Guru was telling. He was saying that Vadikyanum, Dekyanum alla, Ariyanum, Ariyikyanum. So today we were experiencing the same. That way, the presenter and the discussions were also there like that. So once again, I convey my regards and our happiness to all of you for giving us a beautiful evening with these thoughts and with the heaviness of thoughts. That's what again I have to say. Thank you, Vijoyes, and all other participants again and again from IGNOU Regional Center Trivandrum and IGNOU Regional Center ISO. Thank you once again.
Thank you, ma'am, and thank you all the participants and Mr. Vijoyes for making the evening so very interesting and so informative and knowledgeable. We look forward for future sessions as well, and I request all of your presence in the few sessions that will be conducted a bit later, maybe towards the middle of next month onwards.
Please open the video. We can have it now. Please.
Yeah, please.
All may please. Thank you.
So we'll meet soon.
Yeah. Do I have, sir? One request.